Okay, welcome to the third class of my little trio set of the different planes, the different lines of the fascia. Of course, there is way more that will be played with, but today we go with the lateral line, so the side line of the body, which is the reason that we are sticking together as one part and also the strength of what holds the body together so that we can walk without having our head shifting to the side each time, which is allowing the head to stay center and the rest of the body to move freely. It's a still not so complex line. It's pretty straightforward. Again, as you guys are hearing me talk about this whole thing, I'm re-looking at some dissection of the body through this whole system here. And many researchers, many doctors are going, what? As we start to look at the body without pre-cutting it. So when you really just open up, there are so many more connections between our tissues that we thought were just one little tendon going to the side. Everything connects as one full thing. So the sideline of the body, if we look at what the body is doing in standing, you would think that it would just start at the malleoli here. It actually attaches all the way under the foot. So if you have feet that fall in, flat arches, there's going to be tension already onto that entire sideline. So you're going to need to create some length into it. If you have a foot that falls out, or if you have twisted your ankle a few times, I can speak about that, then now this whole line is too long. And it's not strong enough to hold your body together for each time you take this beautiful step. So it's going to go from under the heel through the side of our wonderful shin area. It goes into the IT band, but I'm going to try to change people's mind on rolling the IT band. Who has done it on a foam roller? Many years of rolling my IT band. It hurts like fill in the blanks. It's not necessary because this part here, that tendon, well, it's not actually a tendon. Yeah, it's fascia tendon. It's not a muscle. It's a tendon. And it's what makes us stay together. Otherwise, slowly but surely, your knees would fall out and your legs would be out there. So it's what's keeping us from falling apart and being a gigantic puddle. Would you want that to be loose? No. You want that to be strong. And it's also an entire sock all the way around the whole leg. Even if you roll this, you haven't taken care of the whole thing. So the way we're going to be rolling our IT band is by going to the edge of the quad and the edge of the hamstring and kind of going a little bit under that. That gets a little bit more into the deeper fascia, but it feels amazing. Then we get into this big Y, the hip. Now there's a lot of bursa and sensitive areas, so we'll play around maybe with a little gorgeous ball or with a double ball to roll around this. It goes through the side of the body, passes through under your armpit, and goes back into our neck. What we played with last week, that muscle in the front is part of your frontal plane, and it's part of your side plane. So everything that means that how do we stabilize the neck? How do we stay upright? How do we stay balanced? Is these really complex muscles right here on the side. We always finish with the neck. Why? One day start with your neck and see if you can do the rest of the body. You'll be sleeping. It's the most relaxing area. It goes into your breath. It goes into your nervous system. So we will always finish. We go from the feet and finish with the head, unless you really just want to take care of your neck. I'm going to try to give some little bit of testers so that you can feel the differences. But I don't want to spend too much time with that. But be aware that where you start the class and where you finish, there should be and there will be a difference in flow not just your fascia, we dig down just into the blood flow of the body, the nervous system, and just your overall sense of movement, connection, meaning your proprioception. So when there is an injury, the sensory changes. How do we re-wake that up? Don't know if that was really English, but how do we really reset that? Sometimes it's just a lack of sensory in it. It's dormant. All those tiny muscles, definitely as we get into the side here, which we refer to as the gills of where we came from before we were humans, when we're still in the ocean. Where did we really move from? How did we breathe? How have we forgotten to breathe and move? So let's try to find a way to reestablish those connections from the sideline of the body. Of course, it's not going to hit all your necessary points. I pick and choose to do just that line so that you see the connections between certain points. As you repeat this class, you pick and choose what you like. You feel like, hey, I'm getting on my teeth and my hamstring is not happy. Go around and, like I always say, uptown, downtown, and around town. So let's get ourselves standing to start. And our first little moment is to establish the connection on I am one with my fluid body. I'm saying that just because the body is liquid, and we're going to find how to connect that fluidity into holding us up and not being one gigantic puddle. So finding where you are in space on the front and the back of your feet to find your center line, and to find that side line, to find how the body is connecting, where the weaknesses are. The first thing I'm going to play with is a quick rotation. So pretend there is somebody behind you calling your name, and you're going to go as one big piece. Hey, who is there? Now, maintain that and just look down. See what happened to your feet. Your right foot might be folding towards the little toe, and your left foot will be pivoted a little bit more in. There's a little bit of a dip happening. One side will be different than the other, and come back center. Same thing to the other side. Go look behind you. Is there a different sensation on the left ankle folding and the right ankle holding? And let's see if we can make a difference into that line. So as much as it's not a big part of the sideline, I find that I want to go to the attachment of it. So I'm going to start with just one ball and bring it. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Whee! We're going to bring it right into, so I'm going to bring it this way. So if I have my foot, I'm going to have it right onto the point under the heel, like in front of the heel bone. If you follow that, it would go onto the side of the ankle, like a strap for your shoe. And your heel is just a little bit off and your toes are on the floor. And like you're twisting your ankle, but please don't. I'm going to let the ankle move a little bit in pronation, supination, little in and out, and see what kind of motion we have in there. So we exaggerate the motion that we had when we were pivoting to go look behind us. Now that's going a little bit across the plantar fascia. So there might be some tension points in there. Be mindful of that. We go a little bit onto the back line of the body by doing this also. Making sure that you're breathing freely. And we'll definitely be working on some breath as we get into our rib cage area today. Nice. Take a little moment to just bring the 2 feet next to each other. You just feel, is there a difference already into that line? Now, if you felt that there was tension to be able to roll there, we're going to roll in 2 different ways when it comes to the shins when we get to the floor. But let's first do the other foot quickly. Well, not too quickly, but so right onto that end of your arch towards the heel and start like it locks. That's where the heel bone starts, creating a little pressure down gently and letting the ankle, stripping the fascia of your foot. And again, if you have plantar fasciitis, this is going to be a little bit tender. Let your body talk to you, and you may talk back, but in a very nice way. Nice, and that should at least wake up the system. There's a sensory where my feet are a little bit more aware of what's happening right under them. And let's move up to our shins. So we're gonna come onto the floor and find a comfortable position. Go a little bit less, there we go. So where we're gonna roll is right on the two sides here. So to start, I'm actually gonna take the balls into their tote next to each other, and we are going to roll gently down the side. So we're not onto the shin itself, we're right onto the edges between the shin bone and the calf area. And for that, we're gonna bring the leg right on top of it. I like to bring my other leg behind me, but if this is uncomfortable, you can just leave it as is, or just stretch it out. Find a position that is comfortable for you. I like to give a gentle pressure onto my knee and then lifting the foot up so that your leg is in line with the floor. And then it's finding how we can roll. So if the muscles on the side are feeling very tight, you want to follow the line, the direction of that muscle to lengthen it. In one of my previous classes, I was showing how fascia resembles putty. And if you have your putty and you make it compact, it doesn't change shape. But if you want to lengthen it, you want to gently go within that direction. That's what we're doing right now. We're going within the line. We're making that muscle a little longer. Now, let's say you have twisted that ankle and that area is a little bit overstretched already. Would you still do what I'm doing now to make it feel good? Always, yeah, why not? But is that really what you need? Maybe not. So the other option is to bring it into the same line as your leg and now going across. So that's your little windshield wiper here. So if the muscle is this way and I'm going across this way, I am waking up that fascia. I am making it stronger. I'm making it that it can support me. So all directions are correct, depending on what your body also needs. And if you're not sure, just do them all. There's certain areas where I benefit more from lengthening, and then there's certain areas where I really need that contraction, that awareness to support my body. Now move it a little bit closer towards the knee. So we're like just about this far from the knee. And with the same thing where we are moving. The more body weight you put on it, the more pressure you have. It really is a personal preference on how much love you want to give and how much pressure you want to give. I do find it not as much as when we did the shins last week, but anything that is very close to the bone, just be aware that if you go with just one ball, chances of bruising are much bigger. That's why I'm doing it with two, so I did like there's a little bit more space of what's going to happen right in there. Let's go to the other side. And again, what you need on one side might not be what you need on the other. I have twisted this ankle multiple times. I have not twisted this one. Not yet. So maybe on this side, I actually need a little bit more length than strength. So going along the fiber It just feels good because there's always some kind of tension in there. Definitely you've been walking a lot. After we come back from July 4th break, so there will not be a class next week and the week after. The recordings will be available. I will prep an entire, I think it's going to be 6 classes that will follow each other on how to walk pain-free. Yeah, good luck to me. But there'll be more than just rolling. There'll be some proprioception exercises in there too. Okay, so let's go a little bit across. So find a spot. Most of the time it's right into the middle of the shin where the muscle is a little bit more there, that you want to give it a little bit extra TLC. Now, if this is too intense, I always say you can remove the pressure of your other limbs, or you can also always just take one ball and do that little pin and turn. It just feels good to do that anyways, even if you can handle more pain, just to allow that superficial part of the fascia to get a little bit of a release, kind of like you're rolling the skin away and you get a better circulation. If you have feet that get really, really cold at night, definitely during the winter time, we'll talk about that. This is a great thing to do, is to just get the flow of your legs and the flow of your glutes, to get the blood flow to go from your heart all the way to your feet. Wonderful. Let's just stand up for a second. Let's work too. And I would say, like, if you have the time, if you retake this class, literally just go for a little walk here. Just feel what's going on. Look, my knee actually has like a spring system right now. And let's just find that position again. Feeling where we are, standing on our feet. And again, like somebody is calling you behind you. And check, is there a different sensation with your feet on the floor, and turn to the other side. And come back center. Everybody's gonna have a different reaction. I'm just gonna share what I feel is that when I was first doing it, my ankles were actually dropping. They were going with the flow, where now I have created an awareness into my body, and as I'm turning, my ankles are actually stable. I've created a sensory, that's what I'm saying when there's proprioception, is the sensory of being able to support your body no matter the direction you're going into. So let's say you take a step and somebody calls you at the same time. You don't want to have this kind of action where you're falling over. You want to be able to step and look without losing your balance. Exactly. Wonderful. So let's move along the sideline of our wonderful IT band. So for this, we're going to have the exact same position on the floor. And you can keep the two balls in the toes, or you can have the two balls separated from each other. I kind of like to have it this way. Not a huge difference, but sometimes I feel like the bag itself strips more on my skin than I want to, and I want the balls to have a little bit of freedom. So should they separate a little bit, it will work on just different areas through the whole line. So what are we going to do? This is called, again, the plow. Think of it of pressure, push away, and release. And you can go, we're gonna start with the quad part. So if you take your leg and you take the quad part and you lift that up a little bit, there is this little dimple here. And it can be tender, it can be a little bit sensitive, almost like a little bruising if you push too hard into it. And we're gonna go along that line from here towards the quad, like you're folding the dough. To get that, we're gonna create a gentle pressure. So I like to stay there, just roll away, my massage balls are running away from me. So you can bring yourself more towards the side to create more pressure. You press down gently, you roll by flexing the foot, and you release. And I like to do a little exhale and release. And release. Out. And you can bring them just a little higher towards the hip. You find that little crease, that little dimple, so you're kind of on the IT band or close to it. Gentle pressure down, and then you move away from the IT band towards the quad. There's more and more doctors and researchers are really saying that rolling on a foam roller for your IT band has very little benefits because it is not a muscle. Because it is a tendon, it does not get the same type of blood flow than a muscle would get. So if you compress a tendon, it's like, yeah, great, thank you, now you're hurting me. It doesn't give that mass. It doesn't have the same nerve sensory as what the muscle would get. So you're much better off going around town when it comes to your IT band. So now we go same thing, but we're going to go from the lower dimple. So if you let your hamstring really hang down and you go around the leg, you feel that there's that little dimple now on the other side of the bone. If you relax your hamstring, you can feel it maybe a little bit more. So now we're going to go same thing. We're going to go along that, and we're going to move the leg in opposition. So start with flexing your foot, and then as you point, now I roll towards my hamstring. So you make the balls disappear, right? You see them, and I move my leg to make them go under me. Yeah, that's it. And you pick and choose the area of the leg that makes the most sense. It can be pretty intense because you go to the back line again. You connect to the edge of your hamstring, which connects a little bit to the nerves all the way into your hips and into your spine, depending on the tension that we have in there. This is why I said, like, if you feel like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that's talking to me, take a little break from this video after we've done the other side and roll your hamstrings in sitting on a chair so that you don't put tension onto your sciatic nerve. Nice. Take a little moment to just feel how that leg is. And let's move on to the other side. So starting from the top part, right? We go from the quad part, and you can pick and choose the area, but understand that those are all friends. They all talk to each other. So wherever you press, there's an action reaction that's going to happen through the whole body, that you want it or not. So we go onto the massage balls, and now you're making them say hello a little bit more. Yes, perfect. You can do this with just one ball if you're looking for something a little bit more intense. Again, everybody is different. Less is more. What the body feels is not specifically what we feel. It's a very weird concept. But feeling pain is not always a good thing. Feeling pain means we're already being too far, and we're giving the wrong message to the body. So feel free to move the two massage balls just a little bit higher, a bit closer to the hip area. And that can be more tender, so just be mindful and reaching. If it's uncomfortable on that back leg because of the knee, allow your body to literally shift onto the side. Bring yourself, yeah. So you're not putting as much. I could totally like just have that leg relax behind me, and you can still get that IT band towards quad pretty easily this way. I could stay here for a long time. There are moments where we do things and we stop talking, like totally getting into the zone of like, yeah, hello quad, how are you doing today? Nice. So moving on to the other side of the IT band, going from the line to the hamstring area. So I like to start into the center of the leg here, where there's the most flesh. I think here, if the knee is uncomfortable, you can easily just leave it in front of you. And then lean over. So I'm putting myself towards that hip, and this leg is pretty much just, actually, you know what you can do? We haven't really talked about the sandwich, but 2 for 1. We haven't talked about really that inner line and that zigzag line, but you could just put the ball in between and have a 2 for 1. So, you know, if you don't know what to do with this leg and the knees feeling uncomfortable, just put them on top of each other and you get a little bit of a release or connection between the 2 legs as you're rolling from IT band to hamstrings. Wonderful. Just take a moment again to feel what's going on. Hopefully there's a little bit of heat happening into the legs, a little bit of awareness. We will retest our standing, but before that, we are going to go onto that why are we going to go there? Onto the real side. So we have worked a lot onto the glutes. And again, like if you feel the need to go into that area, you're the boss of your body, you go there too. But for today, I really want to spend more time on if you have your hip dimple, so where the femur head really is into its little socket here, you can feel that little dimple, yeah, exactly that. And then from that point, you're gonna go a little bit up towards your hip bone, and there's some nice little flesh here. And you also are gonna go right a little bit towards the glute onto the attachment. And to get that, literally you're gonna put the 2 balls next to each other right here. Now, be aware that if you go too close to your leg bone, the burr side there can be pretty sensitive. This is why I don't do it with just 1 ball, because then you start really poking around that area. And for some people, that's just too much. So you're gonna go just above it, and we're gonna be on it. Ooh, hello. So here, of course, you can't really see where the massage balls are. They're really hugging on each side, right? So they're like right here in comparison to what I'm lying down on. And I'm going to move my pelvis into a little tuck and arch. So as you arch and curl, pubic bone and tailbone, you create a different pressure onto the ball that's more behind you and the ball that's more in front. And there might be more tension on the front one, depending on how that line, how your pelvis, I am more forward into, I have more of a lumbar arch, which puts more tension onto that front part, that shortens the front part of my hip area. So I want to roll that out and I want to strengthen the back part more. Then here we're going to see if we can extend one leg, the top leg, and then roll a little bit up and down. Now find a position where you're comfortable enough and see if you can move that bottom leg. So I'm out of the screen now, but move that bottom leg into a little kick. Nice. Bring yourself up. And now we're going to bring the 2 balls on top of each other. So they're going to go right on the top. So yeah, I have my hip bone right here and I'm right next to it. And I'm going to move stuff away. So it means I'm going to lay down on it. but I'm going to stay on my elbow because I want to be able to lift off a little bit. You can go all the way down, but it's getting a little tricky to move yourself. And I keep my other foot in front like this so that I can move myself on and then off, like rolling back and forth over, like you're bridging over the balls first. That's it, yes. Let's find my word there. Now, if that's okay, we are going to roll ourselves, finding a nice little spot there. So as we are walking, that area is really holding on to the pelvis so that we don't shift side to side, but we have just a natural flow. Now, we didn't do a test of like how we walking because, you know, I would not see you on the screen. But as you do it or redo this class, have a certain awareness of the stiffness in your pelvis when you take a step versus being able to have a flow that allows the body to pivot gently so that the sacrum is free to move and the spine stays beautifully centered as you take your steps. Wonderful. Let's switch side. Now, for the ones that have had new hips or cranky hips, either or, on the new hips, on the area where you might have a scar, this is also beautiful for the scar tissue to really be lubricated and kind of breaking down that adhesion that happens from the scar. And then for the people that have cranky hip, I sometimes have that, working around that whole joint really lubricates the movement inside the joint so that maybe there's a muscle that's not really firing the way it's supposed to. And we wake it up very gently and allow that flow to make it that when you take a step, that muscle's like, help, I am available, I can help out. It's not always something that happens into the spine. A muscle can be dormant also just on its own. I have deep discussions with Peter about that now. So let's go the two balls next to each other, right into the line of the leg, think of it that way. And so we can lay down on it. Make sure that you are really, Marvin is not available right now, he's a little too high, but you have your hip bone, you really, like if you have that little pinpoint of your hip bone, you're right next to it. And then we can, whoo, hello. As we will talk at some point, we'll talk about the spiral line of the fascia. It's one of the most complex to understand. That's why I haven't done it yet. Because what happens to the right connects to the left and spins all the way around. So if you have a right neck pain, it actually could be a left leg problem and vice versa. It gets so confusing on those beautiful crisscrosses in there. So now we have our little arch and curls. If this is too much tension, also allow your body to create, remember that little contract, almost lift yourself up a little bit, like contract the glutes and push, and then release. That always helps the body to agree. And if your head is, I don't have my gorgeous ball like right there. Let's see if I can bring it to me. There we go. If your neck is uncomfortable, you can always bring the ball right under there. I did the circus act there. So our little tuck and moving the pelvis into your arch and curl. And then also we can move a little bit up and down. You'll feel as you get closer to the leg dimple, the trochanter head area, it gets a little bit more tender. That's really where if the hip is not happy, you would have a bursa, a little swelling of the fluid sac around there, which happens to protect the body, but then creates other issues at the same time. Beautiful. Of course, you can stay there for as long as you wish. So we're going to try to move along the line. So we pivot the balls now on top of each other, stacking them. And it's gonna go not onto the trochanter, just a little bit behind it. Stay, I don't like to always stay. But this one, I'm staying on my elbow and I'm extending the top leg and I am moving a little bit up and down. When it comes to the hip area and the glutes, I can't really say what I am going within the fiber and what I'm going across the fiber. There are so many levels and so many layers of muscles that what you might be stripping on one, you might be going with the flow on the other. So just go in every direction and every muscle will get a chance to get what it needs. Then we have a little leg extension. A nice little area that's talking to me, saying like, you've been using me more than the other side. I am jealous. I want to take a little break. Wonderful. Let's roll ourselves off of this and take a little moment to come up into standing. And now have disappeared. And just feel what's going on into those legs. And even if you would just take this much of the class, if you even skip the foot, just do the shins. Even if you skip your YT band, you do just the side of your shins and the side of your hips and just feel what is going on in the body and go for a walk. Just see, whoa, total difference on how I am feeling my pelvis as I'm taking those steps. The awareness of support system through the side of my body. So that's just a little game to play with. As you play with your fascia, does it create a different sensation? How am I catching myself? That proprioception of being able to take that step down on what happens on the side of your hips to be able to support your body. So our next line is a little bit more sensitive, but there's a beautiful thing. I was talking about it on how it comes from our ancestors of where humankind has kind of come from. And with what has happened in the whole world, there's been a lot of talking on trying to help people to understand how to breathe better. And this is going to be a different sensory, a different way of feeling what's going on into the space of your diaphragm. We're not into the diaphragm yet, but the diaphragm connects all the lines of the fascia, the front, the side, the back, and the crisscross. So whatever you hit, the diaphragm has a reaction to it. So as we're going to be rolling along the line here of the spine, there's going to be a lot of breathing and freedom into your breath. Now, our little checkpoint for this one is going to be a little disco stretch, we're going to call that. So into your upright position, bend one knee, so that hip drops down. And that side, bring the arm up, the knee that is bent. There we go. And then that arm is going to reach to the side. So this is opening that whole line and come back. Let's feel what's happening on the other side. So drop that hip by bending the knee, bring the arm up and go up and over. And there might be just one side and you go, okay, there's tension into like right below my shoulder blade. And on the other side, maybe it's more even all the way to your tailbone, or it's just not moving into your lower back. There is so much going on there. For this one, we are going to use our gorgeous ball, the nice and squishy one. We're going to come down onto the floor. Just change my setting for a second here. Nice. And we can start right in the middle of the spine, I'm going to say. So right at your floating ribs. You want to create some pressure. Now, again, I'm going to do this on the floor. If it's too intense, you can do it against the wall. You can also just do it by pressing down and moving the ball with your hands. Sometimes I don't have time, definitely for the front of the body. I just like to just roll things and just move stuff. It just feels good. Nothing needs to be like super intense. But for today, we're gonna play around with breathing into our bowl here. So we're gonna lean over. And as you are going to inhale, you want to feel that you're opening that opposite side, so almost like curving and pressing your spine into a side arch, but contracting that side. And then exhale, release. And again, inhale. Exhale. You can bring the other arm on top also and feel like you're pulling it to really open the opposite side. So we're not working just on the side that's on the ball, we're working on the other one too. And exhale, release. Now gently moving your body over the bowl. And also moving the ball onto your body. So a little arch and curl from the rib cage, or a little rolling, little spiraling of the spine onto the bowl. Nice. Bring yourself gently a little bit up, and I'm gonna bring the bowl closer to the armpit, but not all the way. So more breast area. Now for this one, you can bring your head onto your hand, or you can bring a pillow or something, or if your body allows, you can also just relax all the way down. I'm gonna start with my head up here. Now this is gonna go from the line of the breast tissue, so be aware of what's happening here, and then all the way to your shoulder blade almost. So we have a little bit of a movement forward and back. And then see if you can relax the head down. And we roll a little bit up and down, making that line a little longer. And think of it as this little fish that is stuck in the mud and is trying to make some space here, moving your gills, opening and pretending your rib cage is not a solid thing, but a liquid thing. And then moving again a little bit front and back, allowing the bowl to go towards the front and then towards the back of the body. So we go across that line of the fascia. And it passes under the armpit. So if you can get close to your armpit, even better. Nice, bring yourself up. See what's going on into the body. I almost feel like I have one arm like, ooh, became a spaghetti. There's one side of the rib cage. And of course, like depending on if you have a scoliosis, this might also trigger some different areas of how your body wants to be. So for people that have a little bit of a shift into their spine, be aware that there might be one side that you want to actually spend more time on. I would want to spend more time on my other side because my scoliosis brings me into a rotation and a dip. The rotation makes it that it's tight on here, but it's tight down here. So be aware that every area is going to create a different reaction into your body depending on what you need. Let's go into the other side. So starting again right into the end of your rib cage. And really picturing that shark that has those gills right on the side here. And we are going to expand those gills by contracting the side that's on the ball. And then exhale, release. And inhale into your ribs and exhale. You can bring the other arm on top to create a deeper yawning action into all those ribs. And exhale. One more. And exhale. You can bring your hand right there to stabilize, and you can gently move over the ball. As you go forward, you're pressing a little bit onto the attachment of your diaphragm. So there might be some reaction as you push in the front, a reaction happens into the back. It's not always where you feel the tension and the release needs to happen. And very often it's actually on the opposite side. Action, reaction. The body is way too smart for ourselves. Nice. Moving our gorgeous ball just a little bit higher. And you're welcome to support your head if you feel like you're creating too much tension into the neck. Don't worry, that's going to be our next area. And we are going to move a little bit forward and back. Going from kind of like hugging around the outside edge of your shoulder blade to get under it a little bit towards the rib cage, making that shoulder blade glide, and then getting closer to the armpit and towards the front of the body as much as you're comfortable with. There's a lot of lymph nodes that we're getting close to. Sometimes a little nerve connection happens because that line is the bottom line of the arm. The fascia of the arm does connect more to the top into the neck, but there's an inner connection under your armpit that goes to that same area into your neck. So what passes through goes through also. And we can move a little bit up and down. You can do circles. There's not really anything wrong you can do here because it's a big area that you're massaging at once. I would not go onto all those bony area and very sensitive area. Get yourself off of this with these rubber balls, just because it's way too intense for your lymph nodes. There are many areas where we would go with 2 if you really want to, but I find that going on there is way too much. You can go into the flesh, like if you go into this part of the side. Yes, we have some deeper fascia where we're going to go with those 2 balls like this. But when it comes to all of these very sensitive area, definitely as you get towards the pecs, I would not go onto the rubber balls. I would stick to the gorgeous ball. So let's bring ourselves up and kind of recheck where our motion is into that little side stretch that we did. I know making you guys work to get up and down and up and down is good for us. So without thinking too much, just gonna zoom out a bit. So we have stretched out and opened up and created more fluid. So this one is our side. So we drop one hip down by bending the knee and I reach to the side. And check the other side. Bend the knee, drop that hip, arm up, and reach to the side. I don't know about you guys, but that it felt so much more free. There's still some tension into the back of my fascia. Like I would want to roll between my shoulder blades to create that full freedom into the side, but I am feeling connected, a little bit more dense, I can say. So our last part of the side of the fascia, that sideline, goes onto our neck. Now the neck, like I said earlier, connects to our front line. So last week we were working on those side muscles that you see when you turn your head and you tense. But there's also a muscle right behind that that connects from the back of your head to the side of your shoulders. And we're kind of gonna hit both of them at the same time. So you can find a comfortable position, sitting on the floor, on a chair, wherever you want to be. And I know some of you have more choices when it comes to which massage bowl to use. We are going to start with the gorgeous bowl. And if you have it, and I have a few available in the studio, I'm also going to use my alpha bowl, the bigger one. Yes, that one. This one is a more similar to having a full fist as a massage. So if we compare the sizes, I know at some point I said the smaller ones are the better ones. There's no right or wrong on that. Depending on the massage therapist you would go to, the smaller one is more that thumb pinpointing, trigger pointing areas. Most areas in the body will need that kind of connection and intention. And if you need something a little bit more easy and nice on the body, you double it up. When it comes to the gorgeous, that's more like that full hand massage, that flow of energy. When you use just the one bowl, so you get sometimes a little bit of that elbow pressure. You want to get a denser and more circular, deeper connection, then the alpha bowl gets that trick. It's great for your glutes, but also great to get bigger areas or doing pressure with your own hands instead of being on the floor. So that's just another little toy, you know, we always like to add on to our fun stuff. So we're gonna start again, like we did last time, from the back of the ear, brushing down onto the muscle, passing through, because the bowl is nice and big, it's gonna lift your neck up, release some of the pressure as you pass through here, and then you are going to do that nice little U shape around the neck. Now this feels also really good to do that with a towel or even with your fingers in the shower. You kind of feel like you are erasing the tension from the ear and massaging that whole. I never do both sides at the same time. We don't want you to turn blue and purple. Red is good. That's the only color we want to go to. So you're going to take your gorgeous bowl and bring it under your earlobe. Create a gentle pressure. So move your head away to the side. There you go. A gentle pressure down. Pass through center. Lift your chin over the bowl. This is where you don't want to press too hard. And then you go to the other side. Turn your head. And pass through. And if you have a turtleneck, of course, that's not going to work. But if you have a nice open décolleté, it will take the skin all the way from one side to the other. Now we are passing through the front line of the fascial body. We like to share the love. Nice, one more. And come back center. Now, this has opened up a little bit of that reason. The reason I did this first is because I did not want people to test their motion by having their head tilted forward. So now we have released and elongated these muscles. We can bring the chin back. Okay, so now we're going to that wonderful, crazy sideline. Can we pivot down? Feel the tension into that side part of the body. Come back center. Can you reach? There's still some residual. I feel better in the front. There's some residual stuff right onto the side there. So for that one, if you have the alpha or something that's just a little bit bigger, you can do it with your gorgeous. I'm going to show you with the alpha. You're going to go literally like a half turtleneck. You go from close to your spine to the front, and you create a little plow where you push and bring it front. Not all the way to your trap. Yeah, you don't want to, yeah, you want to stop before that. It's going to be awkward. Just onto, I'll show it from the side, just onto the side part of the neck. You can roll back and forth. You can strip it. For most people, this is going to be an area that's stiff. So you want to also make sure that you maintain some of that stiffness. Otherwise, your head is going to be shifting side to side. And kind of like the kids are like, I'm walking, can't balance myself. We have moved beyond that. But you might want to go a little bit up and down. So it goes not onto the ear, just a little bit behind it, that little hook that you have close to your hair, and you just drop it down towards where your bag would be on your shoulder, and you roll up and down. Nice. If you're doing this with the gorgeous, it's the exact same thing, but you try to stabilize the ball, so you don't let it roll. You stabilize it and you move the skin up and down. So it's almost like you're doing this to your skin. You go up the elevator, but without letting it roll. So it kind of strips and stretch. That can work also with if you just take a piece of yoga mat and hold it still and just move the yoga mat up and down onto the skin. It kind of like shifts the skin like this over the fascia of the neck muscle. So let's go on to the other side. And going from back to front. The vertebrae onto the neck took me a long time to realize how big they are, you know, like where the ends are, they're right here. And that first rib is right here. There's not that much space in there. So when there's like tension in there, it goes deep in between all that stuff. So now we're moving fascia that goes deep within. Even I find as I'm doing my neck, my voice is changing. There's more relaxation. I don't have that high pitch or I'm tired. It kind of just goes into a normal flow. So check on how you sound as you're releasing the tension in your neck. And also how the brain is feeling. I've had my migraine day yesterday and some residual tension, and this opens up my whole skull. And then moving a little bit up and down. This can be done also by stabilizing the ball and moving the head. We've done these, like, you know, your pretend telephone. That's more for the attachment and saying your little yes and your little no. That's your desk massage. I will make a video of a specific sit behind your desk 20-minute self-massage. It will come out soon. No excuses to not release your fascia. Wonderful. And again, because we did it on the other side, I feel like we need to at least give it a little connection. Press again. Don't let the ball, well, you don't have much space to roll the ball up and down. Just try to move the skin. Makes that funky little noise. It gets stuck. Nice. Come back, release. Check where the head is in relationship to the whole spine, and just do a little test. For me, this is a huge change. As doctors have actually told me, I was not being able to move my neck freely because I have some space and vertebrae are not the way they're supposed to be, and they wanted to fuse my neck. I've been working with the gyrotonic methods for many, many years. That has helped me a lot. This method in combination with it has now really made me regain some of that sensory, some of that release, the flow, and just an awareness. As a hypermobile person, I need that proprioception. I cannot just work with stretching things out. Having the relationship between stretching and strengthening, meaning using your fascia in the fluid body. I am my fluid body right now, but connecting that. You're not just a big puddle. You're a happy, connected puddle, ready for the rest of the week. Thank you so much.